Hey everybody, Jason and John here, Everyday Crypto, sponsored by CryptoTaxShield.com. Appreciate Jason taking some time on out of your busy Monday to sit down with us, do another great episode.
John, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. First of all, post Super Bowl, we did our episode yesterday pre Super Bowl. Now it's post Super Bowl. My boys didn't win. Your boys won. Congratulations, I guess.
I appreciate that, but I'll be honest with you, I think the Bengals look better.
There was some bad stuff there in the fourth quarter, but you know what? We're all going to lick our wounds today, and we'll all get over it. So, no, I wanted to circle back. So, speaking of yesterday, we started talking a little bit and went pretty deep into the emergency Fed meeting today, and I thought maybe if we could take a few minutes today, I want to kind of circle back to that and kind of get your take on where things are now that that's happened, and kind of go from there.
No problem. If I could start off, please, if you find any entertainment or educational value in this video, please like and subscribe. It helps us help you, and we greatly appreciate it.
We sure do.
So a lot of anticipation on the Fed meeting today, right?
Yep.
And to be honest with you, the first thing I did this morning when I woke up is I looked at the markets.
Right.
Because I knew that would tell me everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the markets were pretty dead today. Like, they didn't crash. They didn't pump. They just pretty much stayed where they were at.
Okay.
So even without looking at the news, I could have guessed that the news was probably neutral,
right? Which
it was. So the Fed admitted that there is an inflation problem, and they are looking into possible solutions, and they are more or less giving us the heads up that increase in the interest rates is coming.
Okay.
So the Fed wants to keep our trust, so they don't want to hit us blindsided when they increase the rates in March, right?
Right.
But I was getting into a conversation with my neighbor, and my neighbor was like, well, just increase rates. And I was like, well, you can't just do that. There's consequences, right? So
absolutely.
COVID hit. Every nation on earth turned on the money printing machines and started giving out free money. This inflation is a consequence of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just jack up interest rates, there's a consequence to that too. Right. So currently the Fed only cares about two things, right? They care about employment, unemployment rates.
Right.
They care about inflation.
Mm-hmm.
If you increase inflation, you're teetering with messing up employment. The reason why that is because you increase the interest rates, you take borrowing liquidity out of corporations' hands or ability.
Right.
And there's so many zombie corporations in America that they would then become insolvent. And then companies that are relying on their business would probably take a hit and maybe become insolvent and be a domino effect, right?
Right.
For those of you who do not know, a zombie corporation is a corporation that just makes enough money to pay its debt.
Right.
And there are a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the biggest corporations, you'd be shocked.
Oh, sure.
So this is the Fed's problem. They don't want to crash the economy either way, but a massive problem with inflation and the consequences of increasing interest rates, right?
Right.
So that's pretty much how I took it.
Okay. So yeah. So ultimately, though, we didn't see a wild shift either way, which is generally good news across the board. So, but obviously, we've got some things coming down the pike. So it's good to just keep your head on a swivel and stay ahead of the news and just do your education. Like you talk every time, every episode. Just be educated, do your research, and just be on top of stuff,
Yeah.
So let's go a little bit wider in terms of scope on this, because I like discussing sort of the Fed leads me to some other ideas about sort of other world events that might affect crypto in particular. And I'm a big news junkie, so I'm seeing a lot of this stuff about the Russian-Ukrainian border and some of the potential for some issues going on there. How does something like that affect crypto?
Great question.
Oh, thanks.
So I'm a micro guy,
mm-hmm.
right? I find these kinds of things very interesting, and large part of my investment theses come from micro and macro environments and situations.
Right.
So you got the situation with Russia invading Ukraine, right? You got China butting up with Russia. You got the European Union butting up with America, and everyone seems to be posturing pretty strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but to think, though, pre-COVID, all these nations wouldn't be posturing so strong. I think there have been much more litigation and lack of interest in war, which seems to be like how everyone wants this thing to play out. But if you know your history, you know war is good for two things. It's good for making the rich richer and for stimulating economies.
Absolutely.
And what does every country on earth have right now? A problem with stimulating their economy. They're either dealing with inflation or recession or unstable currencies. These are all after effects of COVID.
Yep.
And it's a problem for everybody. So I can't help but to think that, inside the war rooms when they're discussing these things and the top economists and other people are talking, that might be something they're saying, like, hey, look, this might be good for the economy.
Right.
Take attention away from inflation and all this other stuff. So I don't know. As far as it's related to crypto, though, it's extremely great for crypto.
Okay.
You're seeing, I've always said, my mind thinks in game theory, right? Corporate game theory, global game theory. And right now you're seeing crypto come right into play. So Russia recently came out and said they're going to accept Bitcoin as legal tender.
Oh, wow.
And they're acknowledging it as a currency.
Okay.
Which lets me know that they're going to let their banks start selling and accepting cryptocurrencies.
That's right.
This is game theory playing out, right? So Russia's kind of forcing America's hand in this, right?
Yep.
So we're jumping ahead of the game on you. Right. We're going to stabilize our economy through Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And now you have to. And then China's going to have to. And you're already seeing this play out in South America, right? So what was it? El Salvador was the first country to accept Bitcoin as legal tender, right?
Yep.
But as of today, you've got, I wrote this down so I know I'd forget. As of today, you got Panama and El Salvador accepting cryptocurrency as legal tender, but Mexico, Nicaragua, Brazil, and Argentina all have bills to be passed soon. Okay. So you can see the dominoes falling, right?
Yeah.
It'll happen regionally, right? So if Venezuela has a very unstable currency and they go to Bitcoin and it stabilizes their economy, the surrounding countries will have to do the same. And the surrounding countries are that. And it goes back and forth, right?
Right.
So ultimately, you're even seeing this play out inside of our own borders. So I think Arizona just said they're going to try and get a bill through that, puts Bitcoin as legal tender. And I know Texas is doing the same thing. So Texas had a bill. It was House Bill 4474 and House Bill 1576 that are very crypto friendly.
Interesting.
So friendly, in fact, that the guy who's running for when the election comes up, the guy who's running against the guy who currently has a governor job, his whole campaign is based on we're going to be very crypto friendly in Texas.
Interesting.
And Texas in the last year has opened their arms to crypto miners. Like I think currently they have like 7 to 8% of the Bitcoin hash rate. Wow. And they're projecting out to have about 25 to 30% in 2 years.
Interesting.
So they're welcoming crypto communities. They see the opportunities here, right? They know it's the future.
Right.
Arizona, Wyoming, same story. Wyoming was the first state to, allow crypto banks. And currently they're the only state in America where you can recognize a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which is crypto, right?
Right.
So you can see these things playing out. Even within our own borders, we're seeing it play out in corporate game theory, micro and macro situations. So at the end of the day, any instability due to centralized entities like the banks, the governments, it's all good for crypto because crypto is decentralized, right? It's different.
Yeah, that's also going to be interesting to see some states sort of play ball with crypto because states in my estimation tend to compete for talent and business, obviously tax credits, all that kind of stuff. But to be crypto friendly, boy, you're going to start bringing in. You're going to open yourself up to a whole different collection of businesses that might want to come to and migrate to your state just for that simple fact.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's very, very fascinating. So this is great stuff, man. Yeah, I can see how sort of world events do affect crypto in a positive way. I mean, nobody wants to see anybody go to war and lose bodies and lose people, and but at the end of the day, we work in this sort of world where things happen, and you want to be ahead of whatever curve is coming. So this is all great info, man.
Yeah, if I could tap on something else too. I know we've on this show we've been very bullish on PEGAXY.
Right. Yes.
And PEGAXY yesterday took a pretty hard dip. And let me just explain why it happened and how you should view it versus how most people did view it.
Yep.
So during the Super Bowl, I got like 5 text messages from random people like, "Oh my God, PEGAXY's crashing. What's going on? Should I get out?" Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I said, "All right, man, just relax. Let me just take a good look here." And all it was so PEGAXY had a breeding event where you bought these breeding tickets, and if you use them, you got some sort of special horse out of it. Mm-hmm. And all the tokens that were used to buy those tickets were going to be burned. So it means they're taken out of circulation, which is good for the ecosystem because there's less circulating supply of coins.
Right.
Well, everybody, including me, had the same idea. Coins I would have cashed in on a week ago, I just held on to because I figured there'd be a slight pump and I'd get a little more out of it, right?
Sure.
Everyone had the same idea. It was a run on the banks. And it was short on liquidity, right? Okay. So they didn't anticipate everyone running to the banks at once. It wasn't that big of a deal. Liquidity can be addressed.
Sure.
There can be incentive programs to add more liquidity, or the founders themselves could just add liquidity. Right. But this is just a typical overreaction by retail investors. They come in, they buy something, they maybe didn't do enough homework, and the second things start, dip 20%, they're jumping out of windows, right?
Right.
Instead of just looking at, okay, what happened? Is the project still solid? Yes. Is it a rug pull? No. Are the founders still heavily involved? Yes. Are they looking to a solution? Yes. Okay. Then if you know all that, then really it's just a buying opportunity. So I'll tell you what I did. Instead of cashing out all my PEGAXY coins, I just used them to go to breed a lot more horses.
Right.
Because since the price dipped, you're breeding at half the original price. So what used to cost you, let's say $1,000 a breed, now it costs you $500.
Right.
So that's the difference. A retail guy freaks out and sells all his coins.
Yep.
A smart guy does a bunch of homework and just takes advantage of the situation, right?
Lessons learned. I mean, this is gold. Yeah. So everybody watching this, take notes. That's how you do it. So, no, Jason, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, yeah. But we've talked about retail psychology. We've talked about emotional intelligence. All of this plays parts in this stuff. It's not just about getting an inside track on a project and getting lucky. Like, you can actually manufacture your luck by just making smart moves and not getting super emotional. So that's great. Yeah.
And just one last thing, John, if we could touch on the tomorrow's NFT drop from Crypto Tax Shield.
Absolutely.
For those of you who do not know, tomorrow we have an NFT dropping out from Crypto Tax Shield. It's the Crypto Tax Shield Founders NFT.
Yep.
And what comes with that is, as long as you hold this NFT, you will get tax prep and audit protection from one of Southern California's most trusted leading tax firms, right?
Amen.
And they're very crypto. They understand everything about crypto. They personally changed my life when they started doing my taxes, because my taxes are super complicated with all the different crypto activities I do.
For sure.
But they put me in a situation and structured it where it's better benefited my situation. Right. Along with that, you're going to get access to everything we offer on the platform and then some. And then you'll be whitelisted or airdropped future collaborations with other projects we're currently working on.
Yep.
And down the road, if we go to a coin, you'll probably get airdropped some coins.
You got it.
So anybody who has complicated taxes, this is a gold mine, right? Like one of Southern California's leading tax firms doing your taxes. Currently, we're dropping the NFT, I think, for 0.3 ETH.
I believe so. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so there you go.
You just hit on something very important. Complications with regard to taxes, particularly for those that engage in crypto. Finding good experts at this it's hard. There's not a lot of them, and we've got a great collection of actual experts in this niche that can help you regardless. Yeah, Jason's right. His situation is very complicated, but you know what? It's not anymore. And it's all Crypto Tax Shield. So, Jason, thanks so much for sitting down with me again today. Let's if you're up for it, let's do another good one tomorrow. And appreciate your time.
Johnny, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take care.